Well, guys, again, welcome and thank you. My name is Mike Condon. I'm the Vice President of Franchise Development here at HomeWell. And today we're going to talk about one of our favorite topics. And it's a question, again, we get all the time, no matter who's asking, well, it's great. Client demand is growing, but what about the staff? How do we deal with that? What does the recruitment and retention side look like? So today we're going to go through some high level highlights, kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse behind the mirror of how we think about this process, and really what is the key to making sure that your agency has success when it comes to caregiver recruitment and retention. So again, if there's any questions we can answer as we go through, please throw them in the Q&A chat box. But really, as we get into this a little bit, the caregivers are your priceless assets, right? They're the ones delivering the care to the clients that you serve. And, when you look at this landscape of caregivers, it's really all about the why, right? A lot of questions we get are, well, why is somebody as a caregiver going to come work for this much when they can go work at a McDonald's or they can work somewhere? Well, at the end of the day, it's about they care. Why are you looking at this as a potential business opportunity? Well, I can probably venture a guess that the majority of you guys are looking at this saying, well, I want to take care of people, or I want to build this in my community because it's a need, right? Caregivers are no different. And in order to establish that, it all starts with you and establishing your culture, right? When you do that as an owner, and you can say that across any business model that you look at, when you establish that culture, it increases client satisfaction. Your recruitment efforts are more successful and efficient. Your reputation as an agency that cares. And really, we want you to position yourselves, and we're going to help you with that, as the employer of choice in your market, right? And you do that through your culture that you establish, right? From day one. Again, we can give you all the best tools and technology, and we do. But at the end of the day, it's up to you and your staff to establish the culture and really to show your caregivers on how and why you're in this industry. So as we talk about, we'll talk about a little bit, well, what does the ideal caregiver look like? Where do they come from? And why do they stay? Like, why does the ideal, and you notice in here, we have ideal laid out, right? Because I think it's important that we identify, well, there's anybody that can be a caregiver, right? There really is, but what do the ideal ones look like, and how do we identify them? Where do they come from? And then how do we retain them, which is the key secret in all of this. First, let's take what does a caregiver look like, right? Like, here's some national statistics of where caregivers are coming from, right? 91% female, 22% are a single parent, right? 68% have 2 years or more of experience. I think that one is a huge factor in that a lot of caregivers already have the experience. And then 81% are already employed. So what does that mean to you as an agency owner? Well, you have to understand that caregivers are going to work for multiple agencies. Why is that? Well, because they're an hourly employee, right? They have bills to pay as we all do. So they're going to want to make sure that they can get their 40, 45 hours a week in. And so a lot of times that's through multiple different agencies. Again, nothing here is shocking. It is just the way the industry is. But how do we adapt to that is the key to success in this landscape. When you look at the demand, right, as you can see, from 2008 to 2018, 151% growth of caregiver workers in this industry. However, it just couldn't keep up with the demand, and it's still that way today. So what does that tell you as a business owner? Well, how do I balance recruiting my clients with recruiting my caregivers? And that's the biggest thing that we talk to our owners about, especially our new agency owners, is that balance between growing your agency from a client side, along with ensuring that you have the caregivers to support. That's where we talk about this 2-to-1 caregiver to client ratio to keep up with that demand. As you can see from some of the stats here, from the turnover rate, again, a very common question we get. The industry has been dealing with this for years. This isn't something new, right? You're going to have caregiver turnover. It's just the reality of the business model. But we know if we can keep them 90 days or more, that caregiver turnover rate drops tremendously. But let's compare it to some others, right? Look at the fast food. Look at the leisure and hospitality turnover rates. A lot higher than what we're seeing here. And even in the professional services business, right? We tend to think that those are much more stable, still has turnover. Every business experiences, this industry is no different. It's how do we react to that and what measures do we have in place to ensure that when you have turnover, that you can still have success. Again, that's where we're going to come in and give you a hand. So what does it look like for the caregiver when you hire them, right? This is just a little snapshot of what it looks like, right? We're going to pre-screen them through multiple different ways. They're going to fill out an application. Then you're going to interview them, and whether that's you as the owner, your HR or scheduler, as your internal person helping. Again, multiple different ways to do that. Then we're going to bring them on with the new hire paperwork. We're going to do reference checks. We're going to get them hired. Well, then they have to train, finish the background checks, and then they're ready to take their first client on. That process is about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So the question we get a lot is, well, why am I hiring my caregiver prior to having my first client? This is exactly the reason. Because by the time they go through the steps, like any agency has, in order to ensure that they're going to be great for you and you're going to be great for them, it's about a week and a half to 2 week process. And therefore, that's going to give you enough time to bring on that first, second, third client in order to meet the demand of the caregiver. I know to a lot of people that seems backwards, but I can promise you that's very common in this industry. And again, it's going to allow you to make sure that you're setting them up for success along with your agency. So this is an interesting stat that I always love to talk about, and this is from the Home Care Pulse benchmarking study that's put out every year. And essentially what this slide is telling you is with agencies that have revenue between $1.6 and $2.8 million in a given year, they will have 484 caregivers apply. They will interview 161 of those and eventually hire 60 of those. So when we talk about recruiting as an ongoing effort, that's because it is. We never want that recruiting arm to be turned off. The minute an agency owner feels they have enough caregivers is the minute you're going to need another one. And that's why we talk to our agency owners and we give them tools and the technology in order to always have that. And that's where your HR person's going to come in handy, right? That's going to be their role, is to do this process to ensure that you have the supply of the caregivers to meet the demand of the clients that your agency has. And again, this is going to scale and grow as your agency scales and grows. So where do we find these caregivers, right? That's, again, as you can see here, almost 40% are going to come from Indeed. Again, and these are all tools that we can set you up with. We have many vendor partners that will help you in this. But as you can see, they come from a variety of sources. Word of mouth is a great one, right? Those are really your best ones that you're going to find. But I can promise you as an agency owner, when you put an ad out, whether it be in Indeed, My CNA Jobs, wherever you're going to put that out, you're going to get a tremendous response. And then it's up to you to go through and pre-screen those and make sure that you're selecting the right candidates that you're looking for. But again, we're going to teach and coach you on what to look for and what is the best practices for this as well. And that's going to lead us into our talent management program. Again, what it comes down to is how do we attract and recruit these caregivers? Well, how do we orientate and train them? We need to mentor and supervise them. And then ultimately, if we do all of those rights, we're going to engage and then we're going to retain. And I'll walk you through what these look like as well. But really, our talent management program is built around these 4 pillars. Again, the key is in all of this is retention, folks. I will promise you that's what our owners are going to tell you. You will get caregivers. It's how do you keep the good ones for long term? And again, we have a plan for you for that. So let's talk about the first part, attract and recruit. Like I shared on that other slide, it is all about getting it out there that you're looking for talented people to join your organization. As a new agency owner, you're going to open up an Indeed ad, and I will almost bet you'll get 50 to 100 applicants for that job, right? They want to see what you're about because you're new, right? They want to test the waters. They've probably worked for a lot of the other agencies in your area, and they're going to want to see what that's about. So you're going to do establish an employee referral program. You're going to pre-screen the applicants again, and really track the data, right? To attract the right type of people in order to make your hiring a successful one. Once you find those right people, it's getting them in, right? You're going to orientate them. And again, we have platforms that are going to help you with this. We're going to train you on this so you can set your agency up for success. And also, you're going to help train them. We partner with a company called Care Academy. Care Academy is the largest online platform of training of caregivers in the country, right? One of our vendor partners, and they do a tremendous job of helping our agency owners train and orientate their caregivers. Again, it's all about the why, right? It's all about getting them in and show them why you're different as an agency between your culture and how you're going to help support them in supporting of your clients. And then the fun part begins, right? Really focusing on those first 90 days. We have a 90-day retention plan that's shared with all of our owners that's going to give you step by step on how to ensure your communication, your process with those caregivers in those first 90 days are vital. We know that if you can keep them for 90 days, they're going to be with you a long time. That is industry fact. And again, when you look around the landscape of home care, that's really where it comes down to is how are you going to keep them and how are you going to help them grow and feel appreciated within your agency? I think one of the interesting parts, one of our agency owners, it talks about supervise, is this handoff, right? And whether it's you as the agency owner or your care manager, when you're introducing the caregiver to the client, is that they're there. I know one of our agency owners in Texas, they talk about every time they bring on a new client, the agency owner is out there introducing the caregiver to the client to the caregiver, and ensuring that that handoff is going to be as smooth as possible. And it works. It really does. And they have seen a tremendous decrease in any turnover rate because of just establishing that process. Again, you're going to be surrounded by 95, almost 100 agency owners that are doing the same thing every day. And that's going to give you the confidence to know that, hey, what I'm doing is working. And last, and maybe not as probably the most important part is the retention part, right? And again, we have this down pat and tools for you to show how you're going to do this. So recognizing your staff, it goes a long way. All of us have been in a job that says, man, I'm really working my butt off here. I just don't feel appreciated, right? Well, caregivers, that's the key. You make them feel appreciated by having conversations, doing your monthly newsletter, having a caregiver of the month. I know here on the corporate side and a lot of our local agencies, they have a Heart of HomeWell award that's given out every year to one of their caregivers. I remember at our conference last year, it was just such an emotional, moving part hearing the caregiver that was selected as the Heart of HomeWell winner come up on stage and really share why it was so important. She worked so hard for her clients, right? Because of the care and the consistency of that. And it's just hear those stories across all of our agencies. But again, it really comes down to the appreciation and just as an agency owner, showing that you care about their success as a caregiver. That is half the battle, folks. And when you talk to our owners, they're going to tell you the same thing. The most important thing when it comes to caregiver recruitment and retention is consistency. Like I said, when you look at the landscape of HomeWell and home care, consistency is the key. Your consistency of hiring, training, recruiting, onboarding, and showing empathy to your caregivers will allow you to be successful in this industry. We've had owners that have done it for 20 years, and they all tell us, as long as you're consistent in your process, you will be able to find the staff in order to meet the demand of your clients that you're bringing on, along with the caregivers that you need to take care of them. You guys have any further questions? I know this is a big topic and we went over a lot of material today. Please feel free to reach out to your development director. We will, again, get you the information so you can feel secure that when you walk into your agency and you open your doors, you're going to have the ability to meet the demand of the clients with the caregivers within your region. Thanks, everybody. I'll go ahead and stop sharing